All right, so we're now live and we can start with the class.
Okay, sounds good. Um, I'll go ahead and start with introductions. My name is Lindsay Webb. I am an educator and brand ambassador with GKHair, and this is my lovely model, Amber. She also is an educator and brand ambassador, so we thought it'd be the perfect, duo here to go ahead and do one of our newest smoothing treatments. Today, we're going to be doing the nanoplastia, sorry, on her. So some of the benefits of this treatment, the number one thing that I love is it has the zero turnaround, so you don't have to wait as far as styling or getting your hair damp, working out, going to the pool, anything like that. I have a lot of gym goers that get the smoothing, so that's a really, really great benefit with that. This will give you very similar results to pretty much all of our other smoothing treatments. You will get 100% frizz reduction, 80% curl reduction. Amber here, she does have a little bit of natural texture to her hair, but it's not super curly. She has a little wave, primarily with hers. What we're looking for with the outcome is just to get that smoothness kind of coming off of the winter dry hair, really get the smoothness, frizz reduction, and just kind of help reconstruct it so she can have a much easier time with styling and all that coming into summer whenever it's going to definitely be that higher humidity. So we also, with her, just for time's sake, we did go ahead and prep her. And I went ahead and applied to one side just to save on the processing time and all of that. So some of the important things to note with the Nanoplastia smoothing is it does have the Juvexin V2 in it, which is our vegan formula. You get the same results, but if you're not familiar with our Juvexin, it's an anti-aging protein blend of keratins and proteins and different oils to really help reconstruct the hair, add that shine. With this, it's going to help reduce blow dry time and styling also. It's not going to be pin straight. She will still be able to curl her hair. She'll be able to style it and still be able to get the volume she wants without having the flyaways and the frizz and all that fun stuff. This formula here, again, it's packed with the V2. It also has acai fruit extract oil, olive fruit oil, and essential emollients to really help protect the hair. It is color safe. We did her color about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that, which is beautiful if I do, say so myself, using all GK color for this. So we're going to go ahead and start rolling and with the application, show you guys how it works. It is a little bit different than some of the other smoothing. If you're familiar with our GK smoothing lines, it kind of combines some of the application methods. It's going to be very similar to the best as far as, again, the zero turnaround, being able to kind of go, the product is not left in the hair. They don't have to worry about ponytails, hair clips, anything like that. So trying to get my angles here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I already applied to this side. We finished putting it on right as we were starting the video. So again, we're using the Nanoplastia. With this, you do want to make sure that you have really good saturation on the hair, but it's most of the product will not be, completely left on during the processing time. And as with all of our smoothing, you want to make sure you do about a 1/4 inch parting. And I do like to make sure I really focus on this perimeter. That's where a lot of people get the frizzier, the little curls, especially this time of year with the humidity. I usually start, I just kind of poured it in here, but usually with most smoothing treatments, I put a small amount in the bowl to begin with, and then I'd rather add more as we go so you don't waste. With this,
Lindsay,
yes.
apologies to cut you off. So, one of the viewer does have a question and, just wanted you to expand on that. So they want to know if, nanoplastia is stronger than the best.
Um, I would not say it's stronger per se as far as like the chemical content. If you mean like the results, I do feel like I'm getting a little bit smoother results from it. Again, it is not going to make the hairpin straight. It's not going to completely eliminate the curl. It's going up to about 80% curl reduction. I do like the results. I feel like it has a lot more shine to it, which, a lot of times correlates specifically in styling to smoothness. When you get that shine, you really get that nice reflection from it. And a lot of that comes from the fruit oils and the acai. But the best is both of them are customizable. The best is very customizable, where you can just get that little bit of curl reduction. Whereas this gives, the maximum curl reduction to it for sure. Hope that answered the question. And again, as I apply it down. I do remain about a 1/4 inch from the scalp. It's not a caustic type smoothing treatment. It's not going to burn or anything like that. But we do not apply directly to the scalp. And as I apply, I'm making sure I'm working it into the hair. Again, I a lot of times really put a lot of effort and focus on that perimeter where, especially on her, she does have those little wavy hairs. And I should have started also with the prep step on her. What we did, as with any of our smoothing, is we used our pH Plus shampoo. We did shampoo her 2 times. She did not have a lot of product in her hair, much buildup. If your client does have a little more buildup, it's very important to do, that third shampoo. And each time with the pH Plus, we shampoo, really, really work it into the hair and make sure you're doing it for 2 minutes each shampoo, like letting it be on the hair to really help clarify and open up that cuticle. And that's the great thing about our pH Plus is it's not drying at all on the hair. It doesn't make it feel coarse or straw-like. So as we apply, again, you want the hair saturated, but you don't want any excess product. So you can see I'm going on with my comb and pulling any excess off. And then after the pH portion, the shampooing, with this system, you do dry the hair about 90%. So the hair is not bone dry, but it has a little moisture in it. And by doing that, it allows after the pH for that cuticle to really stay open and absorb the product really, really nicely. And I always start up high like that and then kind of work my way down. So unlike the best, where you really saturate the hair and you want to see the product sitting on it, with this, you do not. You want to saturate, but you want to make sure excess is removed. And I do always really make sure I'm working it up and down the hair to get it up under that cuticle. Although she does have gorgeous hair, I may not have picked the best model because she has a ton of it. That's kind of one of the reasons we did the, initial prep. But if you're familiar with our smoothing, you will, I feel like, notice a big difference. Not huge, but enough of a difference with the blow dry time. It really, really does help cut that. It adds that kind of glass finish to the hair. I have several clients who do have very, very textured hair. And this really does give great results on that also, in allowing it just to blow dry out very, very smooth when they do their finish style. Again, I'm making sure it's worked into all of the hair. So with this process, again, what makes it, similar is the prep with the pH, the application. You just make sure you really don't leave any excess on the hair, but that it is completely saturated. And then from here, there will be a 30-minute processing time. So once we get it all applied to the hair, you bag them and you let it process for 30 minutes. And I'm really loving how everything within the line also, does contain the Juvexin, which is the new V2 vegan formula. And with that, you're just getting, you know, a little more of a natural type formula, but the same smoothness, the same results. Like I said, the anti-aging is really, getting put into the hair. As with all of our other smoothing, this one does last the usual 3 to 5 months. I typically find on someone's first application, it's going to be closer to the 3 month mark, just kind of depending on their texture. If they have a little more textured type hair, more curl, you're probably, especially with the first application, it's going to be closer to the 3 month mark. All of our smoothing also is 100% safe for color treated hair, previously chemically treated hair. If you have clients who are working on like their natural grow out and they've previously had relaxers, all of our formula, especially the nanoplastia, is 100% safe to apply after a relaxer, after perms, after color, any other chemical process. All it's going to do is just really fortify the hair and add that strength back into it. And the smoothness and the shine is just amazing in this whole line. And I do feel like, as far as the application and the process with this, it is a much, just has more of a natural feel to it. Like right now, I don't really smell any kind of chemical. I actually think it smells really nice. There's no heavy scents or anything to it. It's just a very, very light formula. As we started here, I told her I may have picked the wrong one because she's also very tender headed, but I'm trying to be nice. But I'm also all about quick application. Time is money, and that is, other than the processing time, this is a fairly quick application, as long as you're making sure you're really working it into the hair. And it will use, similar amount of product to what the best would use, maybe a little bit less. But, ounce for ounce, if you're looking at it behind the chair, it's really, economical as far as amount per application. And again, I work it, on the hair. As you do it, you kind of know how much each section will need to not have a lot of, residual. You can see there's not much on the comb here. I'm just making sure it's worked in really good to the cuticle. That's the only hard part, is when you do that partial blow dry. Sometimes the hair likes to knot up a little, but the great thing with our pH plus is it's not drying on the hair. And so it's not as near as bad as what it could be with other clarifying. But I do like to comb it out nice and smooth. Again, about a 1/4 inch from the scalp, and then work it down. And I do try to make sure I get really good saturation on those ends. And she does like to be blonde, so she definitely has had her rounds of lightening, which all of the GKHair lighteners are very, very gentle on the hair and don't cause a ton of damage or breakage or anything like that. They're all also fortified with the Juvexin. So for her, mostly this treatment today is just to kind of reconstruct the hair again from, the winter dryness, and help give her that humidity protection while going into summer. She does, have a pool. So her days, if she's not behind the chair, she gets to spend a lot of time around that, which is nice. But this will help her hair look all summer pool ready. No frizz, little maintenance. And with the nanoplastia, it is newer technology, which is really fun to kind of get on the forefront of that and just really kind of see the results in your client's hair, especially again, if you're familiar with any of your other smoothing systems, you will get similar results. I do feel this adds, like I said, a little more shine. It really has that kind of glass finish when it's completed. And again, the just ease of application is great with this. There are, with the nanoplastia, there are a few steps to it, but it's pretty easy as far as the application goes. Maybe we'll have to trade out. I definitely need this treatment on myself. That's for sure. And then as far as, the aftercare goes with this system, as with every client, whether I do color, deposit color, lightening, any of our smoothings, I do always recommend using the GKHair shampoo, conditioner, and then of course all of the styling products with it. And what that does is really just helps maintain the smoothing. It's one of those, I like to say, what, you wouldn't buy a car without the insurance. And that comes into play with all of our products on the retail side as far as, maintaining the juvexin in the hair because they all do contain it. So it helps the system last a lot longer. One of my favorites is for sure the Shield shampoo, but we also shampoo conditioner, but we also have our CBD line, which is amazing, and just the standard, one of the originals, the moisturizing shampoo and conditioner. So whatever your preference is, I definitely always recommend to my clients with smoothing that they are also using the shampoo conditioner. And then hopefully also some of the style line, specifically like the serum, the leave-in cream, they all do contain the juvexin. So with all of them, they get the anti-aging properties that will go right along with your smoothing. And I'm making sure I'm really saturating the ends where, she tends to have a little more of the dryness. I'm excited to see the results on her because she does not have the typical like super curly hair texture. It's going to be a lot of it, again, just that frizz reduction, smoothness, styling time, reduction in the styling time, and all of that. Typically, a lot of my smoothing clients are, do have the definitely, okay, she's adjusting, definitely the curlier texture to their hair. And you do get great results from that also. But this is just going to kind of show across the board how customizable it is and that they don't have to have curly hair in order for them to really get some nice results out of it. And again, all of her, you can see she's got a few of those little, wispies around the front that definitely have a little more texture to them. I'm applying, really making sure it's worked in there well, and then basically kind of just removing the excess off with the comb. And of course, you definitely want to treat all of the hair the same. I just do like to make sure on that perimeter. Again, most people with true curly or wavy hair texture are going to have more curl around there. So you definitely want to make sure you get really good saturation, but not the excess. I mean, I can say for me, I'm pretty sure Amber here also, we're always excited about new systems that are coming out. And as with everything GK Hair does, it just seems to get better and better. Um, and this nanoplastia I am loving. Again, the frizz control is beyond the smoothness. I know it's very on trend right now to have that glass hair, which I get that almost every day from especially the younger clients that do a lot with social media and different things. They always want the gloss treatment or the glass hair. And if they have that curly and or textured hair, it's very difficult to get. But by doing a treatment like this, it really does help give them the results that they're looking for. And on her, it depends if you're using grams or ounces. I find a lot of people do use ounces. With her length and texture of hair, I find a typical application is going to be right around 2 to 2.5 ounces. You do the gram conversion on that. So it is an economical type product to use as far as smoothing and very easy for application to get those smooth results. Anytime I get smoothing on myself, it's typically like to really enhance the shine. And for me, a lot of it's the blow dry time and frizz control because I do have a little more texture in my hair, but it's dang near impossible for me to blow dry and have it actually look straight. And with most of our smoothing, especially, the nanoplastia, I'm excited to get it done on myself because I want to see the results. And we're working right through here. Again, hopefully, people are familiar with our other smoothing systems. That's why I do like to reference it. Um, they are similar, but I do feel like the outcome with this is, definitely has that more shine and just more humidity control. But it just gives another option for sure for your smoothing and what your, client wants. If they want that glass finish that has a ton of shine, the nanoplasty is definitely going to be your go-to for that. Or if you have, clients that are very sensitive to different products and chemicals, along with the best, this is another great option because it is so very gentle. She may say, I'm not gentle, but the product. Again, the application, you want it to be done after the pH 2 to 3 times for 2 minutes each. And then you do blow dry about 90% just to get the heavy moisture out. to keep getting more. I just always feel like I don't want to waste product. So again, I go about a 1/4 inch from the scalp. And I do kind of focus on applying there, some in the middle, and then down towards the ends. I kind of comb it through like this and then make sure I'm doing somewhat of the back and forth to really work it into the cuticle of the hair. A tiny bit more on those ends. And as you know, technology changes, things advance. GK's always tries to be on the forefront as far as making better products and being really top of the line, especially when it comes to smoothing. That's our kind of claim to fame. That's where we started, and just finding a way to add in all the acai fruit extract, the olive oil. All of those things are really going to help with that humidity control, that shine, reducing blow dry time. That's one of the best, biggest aspects that I appreciate within the line and all of the smoothing. All right, trying to get those little hairs out of the way. And like I said, because we did put this side on first, we did finish right about the time we went on air here for the class. So we are kind of timing that out. Typically, we will, do the full application, get it on the hair, and then it does sit for 30 minutes with the bag. No heat. It does not need heat. Putting on heat, all that does is open the cuticle more and potentially cause a little bit of irritation to the scalp if the product is heated and, you know, gradually makes its way up. And we definitely don't want that. Just with the natural body heat, though, it will naturally work its way up that last little section of to the root area that we're not fully applying. It does have a little bit of a side bang there, so making sure I'm getting that worked on there fully. And trying to keep it, out of her face there. She's trying to help here by leaning over. Need just the tiniest bit more, and we are about done with this application here. I can get it to come out of the bottle. And I'm open, to any questions if anybody's viewing and has any questions on it, especially because we will have her processing time here in just a few minutes. Trying to help, I know. Or I'm just pulling all of her hair, one of the two. Like I said, I did basically do like a pre-application on the other side. So, but it wouldn't be much different timing wise than if you're just doing the whole head in the salon. It is pretty warm in here today though, so gotta love living in the Midwest, all the humidity and warmth it's already hitting. Last little section here, kind of perfect amount. Make sure we work that through, especially like I said, on her perimeter, on the underneath side, that's where a lot of people, if they don't have true curly hair, they just have a little bit of wave or texture. That's where you're going to really want to focus and make sure you get really good application. And then on her, as with many clients on this perimeter area, this tends to be the hair that's a little more overworked, overused. Overused, that didn't make sense. Overworked. It tends to get a little more use as far as like heat styling. Myself, along with most of my clients, I'm chronically bad about sunglasses on the head, the ponytails, all of that. So you do tend to get a little more breakage. So again, I find it important to really make sure you focus and get that product in there really well. And we're just going to kind of wind her up here. And again, she will get to process. The typical processing time for this is 30 minutes. And I can kind of discuss a rundown with you as far as, again, the aftercare and all of that. So this will process for the 30 minutes. And then uh, once it's done processing, we will do a quick rinse on it, which is like 3 to 5 seconds just to really kind of start to like re-emulsify the product, rinse it down a little bit. And then with that, after that step, we will blow dry, and then flat iron from there. Usually when blow drying, I will do kind of a rough quote unquote blow dry with like the vent brush, and then do a finish work the with GKHair's round brush, which is really nice. It has the natural bristles. And it does have like the ceramic coating, gets really nice, good grip to it. And with this system, though, the important step will be in the flat ironing. So we'll give her a good rinse, blow dry, flat iron, and then, sorry, I'm trying to set my timer here also. And then after that step, we will go back in and then actually shampoo her. You can use any of our shampoos. You can use the moisturizing, the UV, the CBD. Today I do have the moisturizing on my back bar. So you'll shampoo, you'll condition with typically I will use the deep conditioner, or you can also use the Lock Me mask. And then you add 6 pumps of the serum to it. And that kind of finishes it with what we call our Botox hair treatment. That's really going to help lock the smoothness in, lock in what we did. And then after that, we will then just you can style as usual. But you do want to make sure you do blow dry and heat set after that process.
Lindsay, so we do have a couple of questions if you can
Yes.
answer those. Yeah. So, first of all, I do wanna, if you can expand and let us know, about the color, if it's okay to apply color with the treated hair, and how long you have to wait for the color.
With this one, I typically, just as with the best, I do not apply, if I'm doing a full process color, I do not like to apply the like day of. Um, you do not get the amount of lifting as you do with the best with color. It can be done directly after. If I'm doing a highlight and tone, like on her, I theoretically could have gone in and done, the process right after. It's just I personally like to, kind of let the color set into the hair. But with a lift and tone, it's not going to remove the color like some smoothing will. So I do, if it's a full, like darker or especially the reds deposit, I personally like to wait, like around 24, 48 hours, let them get that one shampoo in, and then I will apply it. It is safe to apply directly after. Um, but you definitely want to apply your smoothing after your color, not in the reverse, because if you do your color after the smoothing, it will kind of lift the result, lift the product that's kind of locked into the hair. So you definitely want to do your color first.
Sounds good. Thank you for that, Lindsay. The second question being, about aftercare. I know that you already talked about some of the aftercare, but if you can talk about, aftercare and, what steps and what home care should be done.
Okay, for sure. Like I said, this is similar to the best and it's zero turnaround. With certain smoothing with our line, with other lines, you do have to wait, the 48 hours to shampoo, to get it wet. With this one, you do not have to do that. As with any chemical service, I usually tell my clients, try not to go home and shampoo it the day of. But this does have that zero turnaround, so they can wear their hair in a ponytail. They can, go to the gym, that kind of thing. But it's not a requirement that you have to then, blow it back out. But you can literally do the process, go, leave, go about your normal life. Um, Again, as with color or any kind of chemical, I do say, wait 24 to 48 hours before shampooing. You don't have to. I just feel like personally it can have, a little bit longer, stronger results by waiting. And then as far as the aftercare goes, like I said, I do always recommend to your client, again, it's the insurance for the service. You don't want them going home and using something off the shelf. And if they're already spending that kind of money to get a service like this done, then you really need to impress the importance of the aftercare as far as products go. This is just the standard original moisturizing shampoo conditioner. This is what I have on my backboard currently. It is amazing. It's the original, especially, you know, just for all around. It doesn't weigh the hair down. We also have, like I said, our UV shampoo and conditioner, which is amazing if you live in a really sunny environment or a lot of impurities and different things in the air. It really does help protect with that a little bit more. And then we have our CBD shampoo conditioner that also can be used after. And it has the CBD base to it, which is, I really actually like it. It's what I have in my shower right now. Um, It has, again, the V2. Everything in the line does have the Juvexin. So the more you're using the GK as far as the aftercare, it's going to keep like compounding that Juvexin into the hair and prevent it from stripping out. All of our shampoos are sulfate free, paraben free, phosphorus free, and gluten free. So if you have clients that have any kind of sensitivities, it's really, really nice for that. A lot less reaction, I would say. That's kind of how I actually got into using the GK line is 25 years. Well, at that time, like 15 years of doing hair, I was starting to develop some sensitivities to products and started using this line, and it's been amazing ever since. And I've actually been able to kind of grow my hair longer. Um, and then as far as after like the shampoo and conditioner aftercare goes, a couple of my favorite products to use if you've not used our serum, it is amazing. It is super lightweight. It's natural. It's silicone free. So it doesn't just sit on top of the hair and build up. It actually will absorb into the hair. And then our leave-in cream. These are kind of my go-to if you have clients that are on the fence about getting certain products. I mean, I have clients that don't necessarily buy like the whole line when they first come in. They'll buy a couple and kind of start working up their collection, as we say. But if you mix these two together, it's what we call the sweet mix, and you're going to get the highest level of Juvexin of any of our styling products. Again, they're all sulfate-free, paraben-free. They're really healthy for the hair. They do contain the V2, which has the added ceramides, the Juvexin V2, sorry, and the anti-aging properties within the styling portion also. These are, like I said, the number one for any customer client as far as any treatment, color, smoothing. People will come in and be like, I bought that stuff last time, the gold stuff, this. And they're like, how have I not had this for a million years? And they will never switch. This here, I do often, combine these together, cocktail them. A lot of times with leave-in conditioners, people are worried about it being too heavy or weighing their hair down. This is amazing. It does add that extra hydration, moisture, but it does not weigh the hair down. You can still get volume and lift out of your hair, but it just adds that, kind of protection from the beginning. The serum can be used wet or dry. So if you're like day 2 or 3 and you feel like you're just having a little bit of flyaway or you just want a little shine added to it, just do a pump or two of this, work it through your mids to ends. Again, you don't want to focus it on your root, but you don't have to worry about it like weighing it down either because it's not going to. And these do offer for sure a little bit of the UV protection also to the hair. Again, if you're in a super sunny, humid climate, these are great. Just kind of that prep step. Of course, I just ran out the other day, so let me grab one over here. This here is, I will say, as far as those, I consider part of the retail styling line, but they're more like the protection. That it's going to really what's going to protect your hair, add that moisture, add that shine. This here is one of my very, very favorite products that we make. That is true like styling line, in my opinion. This is the thermal styler. This here can cut your blow dry time, and it really does add that true heat protection into the hair. So if you have any clients that use heat, blow drying, curling, flat ironing, this is going to be like the go-to. I typically will, do anything that's moisture protection like that first. And then think of this, if you wear makeup, kind of as like the primer for your makeup. It's going to be that first step into protecting the hair and adding that shine. This also does contain the Juvexin V2. So as far as the formulation goes, it's going to also continue to pack that into the hair. But this adds that real thermal, like heat protection. It does not take a lot. It's very, very concentrated, just as with all of our products. More, like using more does not make it work better. I actually say less is best with most of these because they are so concentrated. Usually on the thermal, like you saw Amber's length, about, a good pea size amount is all you really need. I typically will start working at mids to ends first and then kind of brush it through. It's very, very thin viscosity, so it does work through the hair very, very nice. But this really truly adds that heat protection. I do have a lot of clients that maybe don't blow dry. They shampoo the night before. They use their moisture, but they know in the morning they're going to curl or flat iron. I still definitely recommend them using this in their hair because it's going to be in there. Their hair will dry overnight, but it's still going to add that protection to it. I do feel like it is a little more heat activated, like you may get a little more heat protection out of it. I'll tell people to maybe just rough blow dry just to really like encapsulate and protect the hair with that Juvexin. And then, as far as the next, sorry, it's a little messy. Um, if you have those clients that are blonde or even they want that true like kind of neutral brown, we do have the leave-in cream, but we also have our leave-in bombshell cream. Very, very, very pigmented. So it's going to do the same as this, but it has a beautiful like violet, blue violet undertone to it. So it will actually add toning, non-permanent clearly, but it will add toning into the hair from the styling steps. So it's really great for the clients that are blondes and they really want that added moisture. It's going to add that same amount of moisture but it's going to just bring down any brassiness or any gold tones in the hair. Amazing. Love this for my blondes. But it does, like I said, it's very pigmented. So if you have the ones that don't want the ashier, like the ashy violet color or reflection in their very light blonde, I sometimes will mix the cream and that together just to bring it down a little bit. And then trying to grab my last ones here. This here, if you have, so this is our leave-in spray. It has the same components, the same protection, the Juvexin, everything is basically the same as the leave-in cream. The biggest difference with this, I use this a lot of times if you have clients that have a little bit, like their hair always tangles a little bit, no matter what shampoo, conditioner you use. I'll use this. It's a great cutting spray just to really work through the hair well. If you're someone that doesn't necessarily want to add all your products before cutting, a lot of my moisture products, if I've done color and then I'm going to cut, or if I'm just doing a shampoo cut, I will always add moisture products pretty much before I cut their hair. This one is really, really great though. Also, it does add a little bit, you know, more shine to the hair and then also some UV and heat protection. But I still always recommend using the thermal with it. But it's going to be for those clients that have very, very, very fine hair also, that they're really afraid of having any kind of weight added to it. Sorry, she's documenting our little class here. Um, so if you have those finer hair clients that you're really worried about any weight, this is going to be 100% your go-to, probably versus the cream, even though I do feel like the cream is very lightweight on its own. And then next in line of what I use the most and highly recommend would be our Volumizer. I love, love, love this product as far as volumizing goes. You spray it in the hair. I typically do, 3 to 4 spritzes, depending on their hair, like texture, thickness, kind of at the root area. Again, after the moisture and after the thermal. And this gives such beautiful lift to the hair without feeling producty. I know I'm talking about all these products. I actually don't like the feeling of product in my hair. I like it to feel natural and soft, not, you know, textured from the product. And this is amazing. It does not do that. It does not weigh the hair down. You know, this versus a lot of volumized products that you feel the volume product in the hair. You can go still 2, 3 days after using this because it is so lightweight. It just basically kind of causes the shaft of the hair to swell a little bit. So versus, having product on there, adding the volume, this is actually creating the volume in the hair from the inside out. So, which I think is pretty awesome technology. I have no idea how they did it, but it works. That's all I know. And although we are doing smoothing today, we do have some clients that love their curl. I have curly hair clients that I do smoothing on just basically to condense their curl pattern, to make it softer, a little more defined. And this is my go-to for that. This is the Curls Definer. Again, super lightweight, little to no, it does have hold factor, but you're not going to feel it. It's not a crunchy type product. Um, I use this a lot of my natural curl clients. I also use this a lot in the prep step to like prom, wedding, formal type styles because it helps maintain the elasticity of the curl. So it creates a really pretty, like if you're going to use it to blow dry and curling iron or flat iron curl, it adds a really, really nice, like kind of bouncy type curl without feeling like crunchy. And then we do also have our styling mousse, which again, a lot of my curly hair clients like this, especially if they have the type of curl that needs a little more hold for it to be defined. This is great for that. It's super lightweight. Again, not going to feel a ton of crunch from it. Or some of my shorter hair clients that they really like that more defined style and volume. Of course, they'll use the volumizer, but then they'll also a lot of times use the mousse to really give it that extra lift and kind of pieciness with the blow dry. So, oh, the final one, do or die. Love this. If you've never tried it, this will 100% be your favorite dry shampoo, hands down. Again, even the dry shampoo has the Juvexin V2, so it's going to continue to compound the good properties and all the good stuff in the hair, all the anti-aging, all the smoothness. I love this. It is a refined rice powder, does not contain talc or any of the products can be caustic. You literally do not feel this in your hair, but you use it, and within minutes, any kind of oil or shine at your root is immediately absorbed. This works amazing for updos, just to give, when I say you don't feel it in the hair, but it can kind of give that little bit of texture when you're doing more of a formal style, but it's like a weightless. It's like magic. I have no idea how it adds texture because you don't feel it in the hair, but it does add, just a little bit of lift um, to the hair. And it doesn't really build up either. Like I only wash my, sorry, shampoo um, maybe every 3 to 4 days. And this is my go-to. I mean, I'm on day 3 right now. I've used it and it doesn't look matte or dull or anything like that. So those products as far as styling. So of course, after any kind of smoothing, 100% you need to make sure they're using the shampoo, conditioner, and then for sure at least one of our leave-in moisture products, if not both the serum and the cream and or the spray. And then if they are going to blow dry, 100% the thermal would be my biggest recommendation as far as our, retail line goes. And I have a couple other things I can touch on also, but didn't know if there was any other questions, relating to the retail aftercare, that kind of thing.
Lindsay, no, we do have other questions, but not relating to, aftercare.
Okay. I mean, I can show these little here in a little bit. What other questions? Sorry, I'm going to grab a drink here.
No worries. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so Lindsay, if you can let us know how long the treatment typically lasts, and after if also if it's gonna lift the color of the hair.
With the nanoplastia, I do not find that I get any shifting of the color. Um, it is technically safe to use right after doing a color process. That might just be the old school in me. I do like to wait 1 or 2 days if I'm doing a full deposit color, just to really let that color set in. If you've used GK color, it's amazing. Our reds are vibrant, our browns are super rich. So I really like to give it, that time to really set into the hair. I've not noticed any shifting of the color. With blondes like her, it is 100% all the time. Highlight, tone. I do not see any lifting. If anything, I feel like it actually can help kind of lock that tone into the hair, especially with blonding, and it's reconstructing and doing all of that at the same time. Hope that answered your question.
Thank you for that, Lindsay. And how long the treatment's gonna last, the
Oh, how long?
results.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um, as with all of our smoothing, the nanoplastia does last the 3 to 5 months. There's a lot of variables that can affect that. How often they shampoo, again, the texture of their hair. If they have a very, very strong, coarse curl pattern, it may last closer to the 3 month, but at the same time, majority of my clients that have, very thicker, coarser curl, do not shampoo daily. They're every like 3 to 4 days, maybe once a week. It just kind of depends. So the less you shampoo, it definitely can extend the results. Again, using the GKHair shampoo conditioner, the style line can also help extend the results. I find most people just with average hair like Amber's here, the very first treatment, you may still only see the really strong results from it at about 3 months, and then it kind of will residually lessen. But if you do the treatment again, it tends to last a lot longer. It's kind of like a cumulative effect. The more you use it, the more you're using the aftercare, and keeping that Juvexin really packed into the hair. I feel like the longer the results are.
Thank you for that, Lindsay.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just do one more question. So, from a professional or a hairstylist perspective, how long should they book for the whole process?
Um, it depends on a lot of factors. Amber's hair here, I would say 2 to 2.5 hours at most. Again, her hair is very fine, but it's very dense. She has a lot of it. You know your client's hair. I would kind of think of the correlation of how long would a single process color take you. If the whole service takes an hour and a half, I usually would add, say, like an hour to it. So maybe 2.5 hours. Um, I, if I wasn't talking in the background, even with this, doing a full head application, I think we started at, because we applied half of it before, I would say it really only took like 30 minutes to do the application, and you have about 30 minutes for processing with this. And then the full finish, again, it depends on how thick their hair is. Coarse density is probably going to be another hour. So you're about 2.5 hours. If they have very long, thick, coarse hair, clearly it's going to take a little bit longer. That's just going to be on average hair. She's kind of a good medium because her hair's fine, but she does have a lot of it. So it was, a good example for timing. Like I said, 2.5 hours for the whole process, if that was helpful.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes. And I do have a timer set here. We're going to kind of prep and start getting ready here to, like I said, we're going to do her rinse. Sorry, doing my dishes here also. And everybody does kind of have different setups. I have the luxury of having my own little kind of suite style setup in my own home. So good thing it's not summer yet. No kids are running around screaming, that's for sure. So with her, again, we have just under 2 minutes. So I'm going to kind of start, getting her ready here to shampoo. And I will try and get it so you can kind of see what we're doing here. Hopefully, if you can see the bowl. So, and as you can see my cupboard here behind, like I'm not just pretending to use GK, it's everywhere. So that's in our part of the country here in the Midwest. I do get a lot of people come in, they're like, new clients are like, what is this line? It's everywhere. Not a lot of stylists are, line specific, but I definitely am because it's so amazing, right? We're going to go ahead and put her back here. Again, the processing time is 30 minutes. And also, like I said earlier, one thing I love about this is it does have, it's kind of hard to explain, kind of a more natural feel to it. Like there's not any, like, I think it smells good, but it's not a very strong fragrance. And I don't feel like you get a lot of the residual, smell from, sometimes you do notice in a scent like a keratin or that protein kind of scent in the hair, which is very easy to neutralize. But this is completely different technology, has different, additives in it to help protect the hair. So technically the instructions are rinse 3 to 5 seconds, but she has a lot of hair. So I'm just making sure I'm getting it really good and the water saturated into it. You do not want to remove all of the product like you would if you were rinsing color. You definitely still want to leave some of the product in the hair. But what this is doing is just kind of liquefying it, emulsifying it, and just getting in the excess off of the shaft of the hair to make your blow dry and flat iron process a little bit easier.
Lindsay, and then if you can also let us know if the wait time, if it's the processing time is if it's a standard 30 minutes, or if it's going to be different for different hair types, and how to determine that.
Um, Technically, yes. I mean, you can adjust your processing time. The 30 minutes is going to give you the strongest results. With her, I could have processed less. You're still going to get that smoothness from it, but you definitely do you know, want to let it process. I typically would not let it process less than 20. You really want to give it that chance to kind of lock into the cuticle of the hair and really, let it do what it needs to do as far as the processing goes. With this, I am just giving her a really good, towel dry here. And again, a lot of we are, of course, going to do a really nice blow dry and get it as smooth as possible, but a lot of the work will be done, with the smoothing results with the flat iron. I mean, it already feels nice and smooth. You don't have to section. I'm just kind of sectioning it. Well, I mean, you do need to section. It doesn't have to be the 4 quadrants is what I meant to say. Sorry. I do typically for sure do the 4 quadrants though when it comes to the application. I like it to be nice and clean. Make sure you're not missing any. Is that okay? Yeah. Does that hurt, Princess? Sorry. There we go. I try very hard to be gentle on her. It's kind of a ninny though. It's fine. There we go. And as with all of our smoothing, I 100% always recommend in the salon, if you're a salon, like I'm always going to recommend using GK hair blow dryers, flat irons, all of that, primarily because they are all specifically designed to work with our smoothing systems and the settings on them. So with this, I'm going to use a high flow, but about a medium heat. And so, it does take a little bit to blow dry, but because we worked most of the products out of the hair, sorry, I think I have a little hair in the fan. It's making a weird noise. There we go. And it is so like lightweight on the hair. It's not going to take forever like a lot of smoothing systems do. And I kind of give each section a little bit of a rough dry. And then I do really, really like to say the vent brush. It does seem to help accelerate the blow dry time. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little better there. And I do always also use the directional nozzle and the flow nozzle on it and direct the hair downward. And by making sure, you're directing the cuticle of the hair down, that's going to really help increase the smoothness of the And one little trick I learned with our vent brush years ago from one of our other amazing, amazing educators, brand ambassadors, Eva Davis. And the big trick, if you have hair that's a little more knotted up, is not just going this way, but actually pull from the tip down. For some reason, that's some magical trick with the GK that brushes that really helps detangle the hair a little bit more. But by using this for the initial blow dry step, it allows the air to pass through the hair and really help increase that blow dry time. And again, by using our blow dryer, you know that you're going to get the results you want to get. We can set specifically for like our heat and airflow settings is specific for the treatment. Usually I get each section, we'll say 95% dried. And then I do like to go in with the vent brush and just give it one kind of final pass to really give it that extra little bit of stretch and smoothing to the cuticle. So you get a little bit of that extra workout with your arm brushing for sure. And you don't want to do really large sections. You do want to do small enough sections that you're making sure you're really focusing and getting, the root of the hair down through the mids to ends, nice and smooth and dry, of course. And clearly right now there is product on the hair, but it's drying so fast. It's going to be very similar to the final result and maybe even quicker once you don't have the residual smoothing on there from the nanoplastia treatment. But it's just very important, one, not to rinse it too much. Just rinse it enough to kind of emulsify and get the excess product off. And then as far as blow drying goes, make sure you're focusing that nozzle down the shaft of the hair, not directly at it. And that's going to really help keep set and close down that cuticle. And everybody's different as far as the tools they prefer to use. If you're a round brusher, do or die, use the round brush the whole time. I just don't feel like we really need to, except for that, like I said, that kind of final smoothing step with the blow dry on each section. I will go with the round brush. And if you've never tried our blow dryers, they're very, very strong. They blow dry the hair very quickly, but very, very smooth. It does have the ionic technology, so it helps eliminate, the bad ions and kind of put in the good ones if you're familiar with that at all. So we do dry each section so it's 100% dry. Sometimes it's hard to tell with a product smoothing like this when you need a little bit of the product in there. Or please for this step. And it always seems redundant to blow dry product and then think to it off, which we do with this system. But this is the part where it's really locking the cuticle of the hair down and locking that convection piece through the hair. And if you've never used any of our smoothing, that's one of the top features with our convection is it is non-hydrolyzed. So it's all natural proteins that are being put into the hair. And it literally makes it impossible to over proteinize the hair. Sometimes you do need to be cautious with keratin-based products because they can over proteinize. So in GK, that is not, it's not even possible for that to happen. So that's one set or two sections down. We're going to move right on here. And like I said, it is drying very, very quickly. So the results that you're seeing from this portion will basically be how it is when it's finished. And again, I just do kind of a little rough blow dry to kind of get the knots out. And you can see with her hair wet, it does have a little bit of, she does have some texture to her hair. It's not curly by any means. but it is somewhat textured. And you may still see that result, or see the texture in the hair after the initial rinse, because the chemical itself, or not chemical, but I'm sorry, the nanoplastia, the product itself, it's not going to leave the hair pin straight after the or the rinse portion. It's really setting it in with the heat and the finish work that's going to do that for them. It's already like glass. Yeah, I know there's a million glass treatments, high gloss treatments on the market. But the best thing with this is you can do a treatment like this and it lasts 3 to 5 months instead of, you know, 3 to 4 weeks or whatever with, you know, individual services after color. You actually see the results for months. And again, if you have customers that are worried or concerned about their curl going away completely, um, just reassure them that after, again, 3 to 5 months, the product does gradually wear out of the hair. It is not a permanent solution. It is something that has to be continually done. It's not one of those where you'll have then wait 6 months to a year and they come in and it's curly hair and straight hair. It does not work that way. Huh? Doesn't feel bad at all. No, I think it was really good. Like even at this step, the product's on there, so you're gonna have a little bit, of a dullness to it when it comes to the blowout. That shine will really hit when you flat iron, but especially after we shampoo and we style, that's when it's just gonna be like so reflective, so shiny, like a true gloss glass feel. All right, blow drying makes me warm. I gotta throw my own hair up here. All right, we're gonna move on to the side section here. And we're already like halfway done, and it's been, less than 10 minutes or so. So around here, the ears, you always want to be careful with heat around the ear. I do kind of like keep my finger on the cool button, but I do want to blow dry it with, heat. But I do kind of hit it with the cool button so it doesn't get too hot right by her ear area. That's kind of one of my tricks. And I do tend to kind of pull the hair away from her head while I'm doing the process. Again, I don't want to, get her face or her ear too hot. I'm turning a little thing to put her front and center there. Again, once it's about dry, that's when I tend to switch out just to get that good tension on it. And that's kind of my trick is the under, kind of give it a little thumb hold. And her color looks amazing also, if I do say so. I mean, I did it and it's GK product. So all GK, lightning, toning, all the amazing stuff. But because she has the color in there already, it's also compounding that pubescence. Gonna lock it in, get that shine, really bring out the vibrancy in the color also. And again, this line is so gentle. I literally, there's no like odor, fragrance, there's no off casting involved with the product itself. You're not going to get, it's not going to irritate your lungs. If you have clients that are very sensitive, it's a great option because it is so, so gentle. And the best thing is because she's an educator and brand ambassador herself, I'm gonna like make sure she gives updates just kind of on how her hair feels throughout, the wear process. Because I'm terrible with social media. She's all about like Snapchat and stuff. Like we're only halfway through ish the processing part or the food staining part of it, and it already feels so smooth. If you do have a client with curlier or wavier texture or more coarseness, I would maybe consider doing a little more work with the round brush, but basically because hers is definitely more for frizz control, humidity protection, that kind of thing. As the weather gets warmer and a lot more humid here in our area, humid Sorry, do an area. But if the hair is a little curlier, wavier, like coarser texture, you may want to use the round brush a little more just to get that good stretch and pull and kind of really, bring that curl down and make it as long as possible if you're wanting to get that true curl reduction. He's napping on me here. Side done. One more to go here. Very close, very close. trying to avoid the ear there. Couple little sections left, but we are so close to being done with this part at least. Again, making sure my directional nozzle is going with the hair, not like back and forth. You want to make sure it's going in the direction of the growth. Basically, with the blow drying, the heat processing, you're telling the cuticle of the hair what you want it to do, which is you want it to smooth down. So you got to make sure you push it in that direction. Mhm. So, Already looking beautiful. One little trick that I do have also when blow drying the hair with any system, keratin still in the hair, is typically you know when it's dry, when you don't have any resistance left, when it feels really smooth, when you're, moving through the hair. So now we are going to move on to the flat iron portion. And you do want to use, fairly small sections, quarter to half inch, depending on if they have very, very fine, thinner hair, you can do a little bit bigger sections. Like I said, closer to half inch, but um, you want to make sure you're able to fully get the heat through the hair to smooth the cuticle down. And again, I always use GK's blow dryers and specifically flat irons. We have 3 different flat iron options. This is our 1.7 inch. You can see it's a polished titanium blade, which makes it really, really glide through the hair nicely. And with this, I usually like make sure I'm getting close to the root, give it a little bit of tap, and then draw it down. Technically, the instructions say to do 10 to 12 passes. I do not always do 10 to 12 passes. Oop, I scared her. Luckily, these can't actually burn very easily. I have, kind of a saying within the line is when the shine pops, stops. So you don't need to continue making passes on it if you see a good amount of shine and you can feel it hit in the hair where you really have no resistance anymore. And then I usually take one more pass after that. But again, as the instructions say, 10 to 12 passes is kind of the recommended allotment that will guarantee you get the smoothness you need. But not all hair types, like hers being a little bit of a finer texture, does not need that many passes. And honestly, the more you take, it's actually kind of drawing the product off of the hair, or it can. But I take somewhat, slow, smooth, steady passes. And again, you can kind of feel when it is completely sealed onto the hair because that shine just pops right out. And again, after this, you shampoo, deep condition, and then the process you do want to blow dry and heat set after that. But this is really the part that's kind of locking it into the hair. You do not leave this in the hair, like to save the step or thinking that it'll last longer. It won't. If you do not remove it, then the keratin, the Juvexin will actually start to degrade. You do want to make sure you remove it, shampoo it from the hair. It always seems a little, sad and redundant to be doing, blow dry, flat iron, and then re-shampoo it. But that is a very, very important part that you do not want to cut corners on, is making sure you shampoo it out of the hair. And as you maybe can see, I do tend to take a few more passes, kind of roots to end, or root to mid. That part of the hair can typically handle a little more heat, and is also going to be, where the strongest curl or texture consistency is. So I tend to take a couple more passes up in that area and then bring it down. But if you've never used our flat irons, they are so smooth. They don't catch the hair. On finer hair like hers, typically it'll be, I'll say 3 to 5 passes with the flat iron when I see the shine, and not just see the shine, but you can feel it whenever you just have no resistance left when you're working through the hair. It's already beautiful and we're not even done. And with this step, to really make sure you're closing down that cuticle and you're getting the optimal like smoothing, curl reduction, I do flat iron very nice and straight. I don't give it any bend. I try to, prevent any kind of texture in the hair. Sometimes people find it's easier if you just actually kind of pull it straight out from the hair versus down. And that way, you're getting a very nice straight consistency. Versus immediately going down with it, you're going to potentially get some bend in there. But like I said, the nanoplastia, the product is still technically in the hair and it already, just feels amazing. But after that shampoo, the final shampoo and deep condition step, it's going to be so, so lovely. So much shine. Again, this is a nice way to get that more permanent, like gloss treatment, high shine, clear coat look, kind of that laminated look to the hair. And if you're coming in, part way, haven't wanted to watch the whole video, I totally understand. This is, the portion where the nanoplastia, it's processed. We blow dried it, rinsed it lightly, blow dried. Now we're smoothing with the flat iron. And I'm going, like, I'm at about 374, which is just kind of a standard setting on our flat irons. You do want higher heat, but I tend to start a little bit lower. You can go up to 450. I've never really found an instance where that's 100% necessary unless I'm working on like ethnic hair. I may go up to like 420, 425. Something that has naturally more texture, a little more resistance to it. But I would rather do lesser heat and get the same result than put more heat on the hair. Sorry, I was trying to fix my light there. See if you can see that shine hitting, how amazing it is. So shiny. And again, if you're getting in, more towards the mid to end, that's awesome. Glad you joined. But this is the Nanoplastia. Just a reminder, it's fortified with the Juvexin V2, which is our vegan formula of our Juvexin, which is an anti-aging protein blend, as several different natural fruit extracts, ceramides. It has essential or I cannot talk today. Essential emollients to really help hydrate, reconstruct, smooth down that cuticle of the hair. It has olive oil or olive fruit oil, which is going to help add that shine. We all know about some of the benefits of, a lot of natural type products within your hair care. And GK does an amazing job of utilizing different things to really help maintain the health and the strength and integrity of the hair. Hence the anti-aging protein aspects of the Juvexin V2. And again, because this is zero turnaround, unlike others, even within the GK line, you don't have to worry about ponytails, going to the gym, humidity, anything like that. It is, you know, basically set and ready to go. As soon as we finish this, it's a zero turnaround. You don't have to be quite as concerned about making sure you're blow drying or flat ironing like a specific part into the hair, because it is giving that smoothing aspect, but it is very, very lightweight. Your hair will still have movement. It's not going to be locked into one shape. And just keep the knots and the tangles out. I do tend to always use my comb when flat ironing, just as, to kind of lead with, to make sure the hair is getting nice and smooth. And the flat ironing part really does not take that long. It is important, though, to make sure you take your time with it. Don't try to rush through each section. But by doing that, you can get, fewer true passes out of it and allow that cuticle to really close down. And again, by her ear, I do tend to try and give it a little bit of a lift. So I make sure I'm not too close to her ear, but I'm still getting all of those little baby hairs that tend to have a little more frizz and texture to them right around that hairline. But nobody likes heat by their ear. It always scares them. Every now and then I will have my client just kind of hold their ear down if they're a little bit, you know, if they scare easily. I've never actually caught an ear though. Again, I'm trying to get very close up here, but I hold it away from the face, kind of with a little bit of elevation. Sorry if you can't see there. so that the heat's not right down on them. And like I said, we did her color about a week or so ago, and we're not getting, any lifting. The toning is still there. If anything, it's going to kind of lock that in and just help maintain the color longer. Other than the fact that her hair grows exceedingly fast, the color does tend to stay true for a fairly good amount of time. And clearly these, like her side sweepy kind of curtain bang thing she has here, she is not going to wear them pin straight when it comes to styling, but I do want to make sure I am not putting any bend into them with this part of the process. I'm wanting to do it very, very straight also to make sure that it's getting completely locked down. And especially around her face, I do like to kind of give it a little shake before it comes down so it's not too hot on her. Probably getting tired here. And again, I take a few more passes up at that root area and then kind of work my way down. And as you can tell, you just definitely you see that shine hit, and then you kind of know you have no more resistance and it's good to go. All right. Spin her around this. Oops, brakes are on there clearly. And especially above her ear, I'm making sure I'm pulling it straight out, not going down. Trying to keep that heat off of that area. Nobody wants a painful smoothing. She probably thinks I was trying to rip her hair out most of the time, but I'm very proud of her. Hairdressers, hairstylists are typically the worst clients because we can't sit still. Just making sure we're locking all of the nanoplastia here in, really letting that Juvexin with the V-tube do its job. Making sure it's locked into that cuticle of the hair. We're so close. One last little section area here to go. And again, with her bang, although it is kind of that sweeping curtain bang, I want to make sure I'm pulling it directly out and getting it very, very nice and straight with no bend to it. And I'm going to kind of let it cool there because I know those pieces are going to drop. All right, I have my window open here for a little breeze because it gets nice and warm and it's blowing us all over. So again, the final steps to this will be to shampooing her hair after it is completely blow dried, flat ironed, all of that. The final step is to shampoo, and then you allow the deep conditioner to sit with, again, you can do the deep conditioner or the lock-me mask, and you let that set on the hair. Usually I do 5 to 10 minutes. I know we're kind of getting close to the time frame for the class today. So that probably might be a step that I will finish up after, but I will for sure post a ton of after pics, all of that, so you can see the very final results from it. I do feel like, the most important things were covered. I mean, you can already see the shine and the smoothness and everything that's just locked in here. If she was a regular client and I wasn't doing like my chit chat, which sometimes holds it up a little bit, I'd say I probably could have her out of here in about 2.5 hours max. She is a good model to show. Her hair is very fine, but it's very, very thick. So you have to make sure that you're getting every detail of the smoothing. And I will make sure everything looks good. I mean, you can already see the shine in there. Hmm. Shiny, so shiny. All right. So, like I said, the last part is easy. You basically will shampoo, deep condition as you normally would, but you want to use our deep conditioner or the Lock Me mask, and you want to put in, I typically do about 6 pumps of the serum. I can show here. We do have the smaller tubs of the lock or of the deep conditioner. I have it in the big size, which is amazing. So you mix these two together, which also kind of double as our Botox hair treatment that you can do like a full deep conditioning with to kind of give people the look and the feel of what smoothing could do for them. So after this process, again, we shampoo, deep condition, and then just blow dry and style as usual. You don't have to be as particular because as of right now, all of the smoothness, shine, the straight, or the straighter, smooth results are locked into the hair. So that you can see all of the shine that's in there. Does anybody have any last questions at all? And it actually feels really good, even though the product is still in there, and we will be getting that out here in just a minute. But I think it looks amazing. We'll give her a little front view. What do you think, Amber? How does it feel?
That's good. Looks good.
And she's, oops, I'm starting to go over there. I think she's ready for a nap though. But very relaxed. So they say. All right. I'm pretty pleased with the results of this. Her hair feels nice and smooth and straight. So much shine. We will be finishing it up, like I said. And then I'll for sure post her before pictures, which we did take some of those, and then her afters. So feel free, if you guys have questions, reach out. It was great working with you today. Hope you guys have a great day and hopefully learned a few things.